Can belief in God be evidence-based? It's the most common question atheists ask about God. Where is the evidence for God's existence? In science, we base our beliefs on our observation and experimentation. To believe in God on anything less is intrinsically irrational. To answer this, we need to think about the nature of evidence. Whenever we set out to discover whether something is true or not, we have to make sure that we're using the appropriate means of investigation. In the same way, you can't hear the smell of a rose or see the taste of sugar. The way that we discover scientific truths must be different to the way that we discover spiritual truths. The reason for this is that in science we test material phenomena. But God, if God does exist, is the creator of the physical universe. It's obvious, therefore, that the creator cannot be the creation. If the nature of God is different to the nature of his creation, then the means of investigating God will likely be different too. If, however, God cannot be reached with our physical senses, does this mean there's no evidence for God? Have believers in God made the existence of God an idea that you can never prove wrong? Of course not. Just because you can't have direct physical evidence for God doesn't mean that there cannot be any evidence for God at all. Evidence takes different forms. Even in science, we believe in a whole host of things that we can't reach with our physical senses, because we find evidence for them in other ways. A good example of this is the case of dark matter and dark energy. Together, they are accepted by cosmologists to make up as much as 95% of the universe. But the funny thing is that we can't actually see them at all. That's why we call them dark. We can't even measure their presence with our most sophisticated scientific devices. Instead, the only reason we believe they exist is because we have noticed that certain things in our universe just don't make sense by themselves. Light was being distorted as it travelled across the cosmos, seemingly for no reason. Galaxies were spiralling strange shapes that couldn't be explained. Our universe is expanding faster and faster, but no one could tell us why. When scientists studied these phenomena carefully, they realized that in order to explain these things, there had to be unseen forces at work, which we hadn't previously realized were there. They called these invisible forces dark matter and dark energy. Think about that. If our physical senses and our instruments can only detect 5% of the physical universe, what chance do we have of detecting God? It seems that if we want to know about subtler, deeper layers of reality, we have to look for their effect on the world around us. When it comes to the question of whether God exists, we are left with a very simple question. Does our universe make sense without a being that has the attributes commonly ascribed to God? Does science itself make sense without a higher power? To find out, watch our next video, The Scientific Evidence for God.
Thanks for watching this Rational Religion video. Be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, as well as following us on social media. And if you want even more content, check out our website, rationalreligion.co.uk.